As written, the intended starting point of the Forbidden North campaign is Valkengard, the largest settlement on the map and the center of Hadean influence. This is laid out in Chapter 4, with the PCs recovering a piece of loot in the chaos of barbarians sacking the Imperial capital. The Eye of Jakara, an amulet that allows the possessor to cast Detect Magic and Read Magic once per day, but they are being pursued by an enemy named Zarkand, who also wants the amulet. They flee to the Forbidden North on the cargo ship, the Rhymed Mallow, and Rob lays out this very nice Elder Scrolls style start where the PCs make their characters together in a sequence, interacting with NPCs on the ship and learning a bit more about the world, a discussion of medical clearance before being allowed to disembark, completing some Imperial paperwork. That's followed up by a health inspection and then visiting the ship's chapel, which would be an excellent time to choose a PC to fulfill the theologian role that I discussed in part 1 and let them lead a prayer for the party. And this is followed by a language translation issue, a great time to choose a different PC to fulfill the chronicler role and get an inventory of everyone's language choices. And then they go to the cargo hold to secure their gear, a great opportunity to choose a Voyager player role and talk about cold weather gear. And then up to the deck to take in the view. Rather than see the land, I would use this opportunity to meet some Innuruc fishermen on the open water and choose an archaeologist player role and let them speak a bit about the native culture. And then you find out that the Vulcan government wants to know about your secondary skills, and they record your name. And finally, there is a section on how to introduce the Eye of Jakara to the players and let them choose who's going to be carrying it. Now, as written, you're supposed to have them arrive on the docks, disembark, and proceed into the city next. But Valkengard is huge, and there are a ton of things going on here, so I actually suggest that you not do this. There is actually a location on the map in Hex 1325 that contains a monument commemorating the arrival of the first Hadeans on this shore, a kind of Plymouth Rock for this colony. It seems logical to me that this is where the wind is going to want you to go. So I would have the Rhymed Mallow actually run aground here in the middle of the night, pushed by unusually strong wind. And going in the water will introduce them to cold and wet simultaneously, making saving throws to get moving, with the Voyager player able to provide guidance on getting to shore quickly, starting a fire, and so on. And as dawn breaks, they see the monument, providing an opportunity for the theologian and the archaeologist PCs to present their differing views on the Hadean and Innuruc culture collision and help set the stage for the social interactions that will dominate the entire campaign. And the Chronicler PC could be placed in charge of the terrified NPC survivors, making lists of their names and helping determine how to proceed. Some of the NPCs should tell them that it's possible to push northeast and find the Ostion Road, while others suggest going along the coastline. Let the players debate these choices and make a decision. Maybe you have some NPCs disagree and insist on taking a different path. But start the campaign with a decision. Lead with responsibility, not a curated town experience. This campaign is all about the players being in the driver's seat. Put them there from the very first moment. Now let's explore the coastal path that they might follow first. It's a half-day travel along the water to Hex 1125, the Great Defile, an enormous rift in the ground with wind roaring out of it. Right away, the players face the wild savagery of this place. The NPCs are terrified of what could lie below and insist on moving forward. What a great way to foreshadow Volume 2 on the same day they stumble into this place. And in the next hex, they find a cottage. What luck, right? It's in the wooded hills, so you could just have the party walk right by, following the coast, if that's what you want. Totally valid. Maybe this is too spicy of a way of starting the campaign for you. But the cottage has 3 rooms with a locked cellar door, If anything is disturbed, 14 giant centipedes come out, and at a half hit die each, it's not an incredible challenge, but I think that would be some awesome chaos here with NPC survivors running around. And after resolving that, there are locked cabinets in the kitchen that if you rip open, they contain 5 skulls, 2 of them painted, a withered arm muscle, 2 chewed human hearts, a crispy fried lower intestine, and a bowl full of rotten eyes, aged like prunes.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
But bear with me here, because this is a golden opportunity to introduce some of the really incredible religious and spiritual aspects of this module, again, right out of the gate. The mattress in the bedroom is stuffed with more body parts and a nice amount of treasure, but that's because there's a 10 hit die haunt in the basement that possesses people and another possible entrance to the underworld, which I wouldn't use. But here's the opportunity I see in this location. I would have the NPCs from the ship panic when the giant centipedes attack, and some of them run into the basement, which I would leave unlocked or easy to knock down the door. And then one of them gets possessed by this haunt. Now, there's 3 ways to destroy it, one of which involves the use of the Bless spell, which is 2nd level, and they won't have that. The other involves finding his corpse in Valkengard and bringing it here, which they really shouldn't know to even do. But the third is perfect, performing the Lesser Hadean rite of expulsion. That is a ritual found in the appendix, and while they can't perform it at 1st level, this would allow the Theologian PC to talk about the issues of possession and how the Hadean Church is the only way to purify the body and cleanse the evil out of this NPC. The Archaeologist PC could use this as a chance to talk about the Tarngrak, the powerful demons worshipped as gods by the old Inuruk religion, demons that possess people, demons that roam the wilderness looking for victims. They could talk about the Skull God, the most powerful demon, believed to be vanquished by the Hadeans at the Battle of Stinging Meadows 20 years ago, and how his sanctum, Castle Tharganon, now lies undefended, ripe for the picking by any adventurers brave enough to cross the lake and claim their prize. And have this exposition come from the player, living that archaeologist role to the fullest, rather than something dictated down from the GM. Make this like a whispered legend that the party wants to fulfill. After a terrifying night in a dilapidated cabin with a guy they can't kill without releasing some powerful haunt and some weather rolled up by the Voyager, they have to get this possessed guy to Valkengard. And then they set off again in the morning. And since they're following the coast, I wouldn't make Taiga encounter checks just yet, but I would really emphasize the weather here, having the Voyager make rolls and predictions at dawn and then role-playing that throughout the day. And when they reach Hex 826, I would have them find the runic troll skeleton, allowing the chronicler to record the Inilgan writing, which is from a people that predate even the Inuruk, but they can't translate it without magic or a sage, and emphasize the importance of making records like this when they find something. It would be midday now, so let them find and follow the road through the farmlands through the afternoon to the Ostion Monument, where they can see how the Vulcan honor those who fought against that skull god, and then into Valkengard itself. And we'll get to that in a second, but first, what if they didn't follow the coast? This campaign is all about choices. So what if they decided to go north? OSC has simple rules for wilderness travel, so let's use them. Crossing the boreal plains isn't too difficult, but have them make the checks, rolling out in the open. If the Voyager rolls bad weather, it often reduces visibility and makes it easier to get lost. Work through these issues. And if they pass through Hex 1223, they find the body of a Wujan merchant. Let the theologian player explain that the Wujan are non-Hadean foreigners. Talk a bit about how their cultures don't respect the Hadean religion, and so on. The Wujan is carrying a spherical oak pendant with a tiny lock. It contains a hag-eye, a spying ruse that belongs to Morador, the greater sea hag in Hex 1724. If they get suspicious, it gives you instructions on how Morador communicates with the PCs using her eye. This is a cunning villain with her own plots and interests. How the players handle the pendant, how they react to her telepathic communication, can take the campaign in a myriad of directions. Let it. But eventually, the party should reach the Osteon Road. And maybe they go south to Valkengard. If they have any NPCs left with them, that's going to be their preferred direction. But this is an open campaign. They might head north instead. They might wander into the taiga, or the Brumal Uplands, or the Hibernal Boglands. I'm going to assume for now that they head to Valkengard, and I think it's a good part of the setting. Just landing here like a normal adventurer in a normal setting, getting off the boat and going to the tavern and finding quests, that just feels lackluster to me. It doesn't let you really tap into the awesomeness of Rob's writing. This is an amazing setting, full of magic and horror and beauty and wonder, and I want to hit the players with that right away. I want them to know a little about the Skull God and the Tarngrak demons and diabolic possession. I want them to feel the cold, to travel on the map, to struggle to survive. And I want it right away. Don't wait for awesome. Lead with awesome. Blast them with it right away because you don't know if you're going to get a second chance. Campaigns die all the time. You want to hook these players in. You want them to be blown away by the greatness of this. A long-term campaign is hard to sustain. You need the players to be invested. You need them coming back for more. So you can have them get attacked by thieves and get a taste of Valkengard justice, and then have a night of drinking at the Brick Mammoth Inn and meet some local characters and figure out that Zarkand is actually hunting them and fight him off or fail and lose the Eye of Jakara and determine where to go from there. But that's just not what I recommend you do. With any campaign setting, you have to make your own choices on what to keep and what to discard, and this is the call that I think should be made. You have to decide for yourself how you're going to do it. But rather, Valkengard be a port in the storm that you're happy to reach after a struggle, that you appreciate for warmth and safety, not take for granted. This southern part of the map is the nicest, kindest part of the setting, and even it's really brutal. So I want them to appreciate civilization and have to work to get back to it. Valkengard itself has 3 gates. The God's Gate, which only lets in well-to-do residents. The guards stop anyone trying to enter that looks undesirable. The Fortune's Gate, crammed with criers and tradesmen, and the Robber's Gate, where violent criminals are hanged as a warning to visitors about lawbreakers. This is the vision I think they need to see walking in here for the first time. There are a lot of locations here with detailed descriptions, and on arrival, I would focus on one of them for each of the PC roles that we defined. The Hoarfrost Cathedral, the center of Hadean religious life in the entire region, with the Bothering Pool, a blessed location that can basically cast restoration spells if you're lucky, so it has attracted throngs of pilgrims hoping for a cure. And you can learn the lesser Hadean rite of expulsion here to remove diabolic possession if you can get into the good graces of the church. This is what I would appeal to the theologian player with, regardless of how you bring them to Valkengard. Let them explore this place. Let them talk to the priest. Let them meet the exarch. Let them learn new information and transmit that back to the party members. But what about the archaeologist? I would encourage them to visit Inneruk Alley in Grimhaven, the slums of the city where most of the natives congregate. Emphasize that the city is roughly 20% Inuruk, but that their economic situation is rather bleak, and let them learn new things like the public beliefs of the Indigo Shack, a cover organization for the Magoth cult. They talk a lot about the politically vulnerable and wicked merchants, leveraging group politics to push back against the Hadeans. Pull on their heartstrings. Make the archaeologist feel pity for their situation. Remember, this cult is appealing to people because it is appealing. If you can make them think these guys are actually good and not a horrific demon cult, then it will be that much harder for them to realize what's going on later. And use this opportunity to provide more information on the native people and where they live. Let them meet visiting traders from Martel in the west across the open seas and learn about sea kayaking and how to navigate out on the open ocean, or from Kankel in the north and learn about the lake people and the tundra and what's going on up there. Lean on the players to dig out useful details that they can use later. Emphasize their player role, what they're supposed to be focused on learning. So, what do we offer the Voyager player? Encourage them to visit the Sea Market District, where goods from the mainland are available for sale, where Gilver is looking for mercenaries to help him ship a fresh load of cargo containing plundered relics and other valuable antiquities, stuff players like to find out about. And two halfling merchants are selling black powder explosives for the truly daring. And the temporary lodging available at the Brick Mammoth Inn might appeal to them if they don't have anywhere to sleep tonight. And in addition to recording all of these opportunities, the chronicler can write down the bounties on the bounty wall in Stonegate in case the party runs into this kind of stuff out on the road, and they can look into various work opportunities that could be profitable for the party. And you should definitely be hitting them with rumors as they travel through the city. Let the chronicler take those down should they look into these things. The chapter on Valkengard is 20 pages long. It's packed with a ton of content. Don't feel like you need to use it all, especially not all at once, right out the gate. I personally feel like many of the Valkengard locations are a bit too modern for my taste. Art galleries, luxurious spas, and apartment complexes I think are entirely too big for a city on the edge of the subarctic. But that's okay, I just don't use that stuff. The beauty of tabletop play is that you can pick and choose what you want to do. Unlike with adventure path style modules, there's so much here you could probably drop half of it and still keep going. There's so many enemies, you can adjust them to fit your needs. They don't have to go to any particular place, kill any particular enemy, approach the world in a manner pre-chosen by the designer. They're free to quite literally do whatever they want in whatever order they want, and you just are there to facilitate that. It's not just an illusion of choice. So that's what I think you should do to bring your party to the Forbidden North. Feel free to discard my suggestions, but I think a shipwreck at the landing point where the first Hadeans disembarked is the best choice. In the next video in this series, we're going to talk about the Tomb of Morkhal, the first dungeon and the place where the PCs can actually use that Eye of Jakara. How do you reveal it to the players? How might they manage the expedition to that location? My guys had a great time playing it, and I am eager to show you it all in detail. Until next time, Chubby Funster out.